Guilty as charged. Guilty as charged.
Guilty as charged.
Guilty as charged. That's my guy.
Hey, what is up, everybody? Welcome to the Guilty as Charged podcast. My name is Steven, and I am the host. As always, interrupting your Sunday night football coverage to recap a just fantastic performance by the Chargers, 27-10. Oh, wait, it was a snooze fest by the Chargers, 27-10. But Tyler and I did not really feel like waiting to podcast until super late at night, so we figured neither of us were super into the Sunday night game, so we just messaged each other, hey, let's go live, let's end this thing faster. And so here we are. And Tyler, I'm sorry you had to witness that performance in person with your wife and parents. Poor Janae, it's like one of her, rare occurrences where she's at the game, and that's what she had to look for and watch in person. So sorry you had to witness that, but hopefully you guys are doing all right.
We're doing just fine. Had a good day otherwise. But yes, my wife on one side, my mom on the other, both just looking at me, just gutted for me because of that game. That was a rough watching experience. I didn't go to the Giants game. Heard that one was not very fun. Was clearly at this one.
Yeah.
That one was not very fun to watch at all. We went from cue to boo really quickly during that game. And about halfway through that third quarter, you could tell this game was pretty much over.
Yeah. And
when Chargers fans started leaving with 8 minutes left in the game, it got pretty depressing.
Yeah, it was a depressing watch for sure. Tier Tarp made it a little interesting there for a second. And then that following drive ends up with an interception in the red zone, which basically, defaulted the drive. Like, we're going to have a lot of stuff to talk about, but we're going to be as honest as we can about where this team is at, both from a today perspective as well as a future perspective. If you are a positive fan until the wheels fall off, you're not going to have fun today. I'm just going to put that disclaimer out right now. If you don't like to listen to people talk poorly about your team, you can turn the show off. And there are shows out there who want to be 100% positive all the time. That's never been Tyler and I. We always want to look at this team from an objective standpoint and really analyze where they're at, with film, with data, with performances. And so we're going to have another vent sesh, I think, today after we had a vent sesh after the film watching opportunity. So, we appreciate the heck out of you guys who are in here already. We love and appreciate all of you for jumping in. But this is not going to be a positive episode. And frankly, the Chargers do not deserve a positive episode after a performance like today. So we'll get into everything with that. Tyler, where do you want to start, or do you want me to start with something?
I'll ask this first because I don't mind starting, but do you have something you really want to start with? Because if you do, I would love for you to start. But if not, I do have plenty of places to go.
Yeah, I think for me, I just want to ask this question. Where is Jim Harbaugh's team?
Yep.
This is not the Jim Harbaugh experience that we have gotten to this point. The penalty numbers, which we'll talk about, the just sheer lack of competitiveness, the lack of preparation, are areas where this team has really prided itself on. And people are going to bring up the injuries and things like that. The positive fans, again, I don't want to call you guys out, but people are saying, well, the whole team is injured. Like, what do you want them to do? We all watched the San Francisco 49ers with a backup quarterback, no Nick Bosa, no Juwan Jennings, no starting right tackle. They were throwing to Kendrick Bourne, like with Mac Jones. They walked into SoFi and beat the Rams, who are potentially like the second best team in the NFC right now. Everybody gets paid equally. You are the head coach of an NFL franchise. Your job is not always going to be perfect. There are going to be injuries every single season. And your job as a head coach or offensive coordinator is to prepare your team to be put into winning positions. And the Chargers, injuries aside, the Chargers have not been able to do that. They look like a completely unprepared, unmotivated, and frankly, a bad football team over the last couple of games. And that has not been the experience of a Jim Harbaugh led team where we felt heading into the season, maybe we had questions about the ceiling. Is this really a team that can be, a 13-win team that can host a playoff game? And then they started 3-0, and we're like, hey, man, like maybe that is possible. But now we have realized that the floor of this team is so much lower than it was last year. And the roster really isn't that different. But when you have all of these injuries, you have to execute in every other area. And the Chargers are having, half dozen communication errors on both sides of the field. They're having special teams penalties, which took off a touchdown today. They're having turnovers. They're not creating enough turnovers. They're missing a lot of tackles, like way too many tackles. And then Jim Harbaugh's game management has been an issue several times throughout this season so far. So I just want to know, man, like where's the Jim Harbaugh team that we have come accustomed to watching? Because the last two games, we have not seen them.
No, we have not. To your point on injuries and teams making things work, not that the Jets are a very good team. Neither are the Giants, though, and the Chargers played them last week. The Cowboys...
The Giants lost to the Saints today, you guys.
Right, correct. Exactly. The Cowboys' leading receiver was Ryan Flournoy. They had 4 offensive linemen out today. It was just their right tackle was in, and then the entire backup group. And I don't know if that group was good or not, but their rusher had 135 yards. Dak Prescott had 4 touchdowns. They made it work just fine with all of their injuries. No CeeDee Lamb. You could argue they were in worse shape than the Chargers, and they played pretty good. Again, it's the Jets. But again, Chargers lost to the Giants. Right. So I really don't want to hear it. I like that you started with this one. Where is Jim Harbaugh's team? And we'll get into all the different, special teams, defense, offense, you name it. We'll get into all that. But we wanted Jim Harbaugh because it's not just can he make good decisions, or is he good on just like the offensive side of the football, or is he just a trenches team guy? It's not like a one-sided football thing. It's a whole culture. It's a culture of winning and being the best and competitive until the end and tough and physical and you name it. Avoiding stupid mistakes. That was the whole sell for Jim Harbaugh. Can we take a Chargers team that was with Brandon Staley or Anthony Lynn or whatever, undisciplined, collapsing, unfocused, sloppy? Can we take all of that, and even with the exact same talent, can we just find more success because the entire Chargers team has a standard now? And for the first 3 weeks, maybe 2.5 of those weeks, they were kind of up and down against the Broncos, but that's a good team. But for the first 3 weeks, we mostly saw that. It's gone the last 2 weeks. And I wanted to pause, like you and I think, half the fan base say, okay, East Coast trip to the Giants, early time, you lose Joe Alt. That's a good defensive line. It wasn't great. Is that just a blip in the radar? Is that a one-off? And I understand why we took a second to go, let's just hang in there and see what they do. And for about 10 minutes of this game, I was going, nice bounce back, guys.
Yeah.
You guys are, what a bounce back. That's why you bring in Jim Harbaugh. I couldn't tell you where the Chargers went after that. And yes, there are injuries, but this is no longer the team that I thought we had signed up for in terms of execution. It now looks like that bad first year of pre-snap penalties against the Cowboys with Cook and everybody, illegal formation 3 times in one that I saw in person, which might have actually been the last time my wife was there too. So maybe it's her fault. But I don't. We signed up for the Jim Harbaugh experience. In the last 2 weeks, we've been getting the Brandon Staley experience.
Yeah, that's about it. I think the undisciplined nature of this team is insane to me. And, the biggest moment of the game, the Chargers are down 17-10. They get a 4th down situation out there in the third quarter. And Keenan Allen is yelling at the sideline, and Justin Herbert's all confused. Offensive line's confused. Nobody has any idea what's going on. play clock is running down, and finally at like 15 seconds, we see Tyler Conklin come onto the field. They break the huddle with less than 10 seconds on the field. And again, it's 17-10 when this is happening. It's still a one-score game, but the Chargers have not had the football in a long time. Very obvious go for it situation, in my opinion. And instead of calling a timeout, Jim Harbaugh lets the Chargers get the snap off. They are extremely rushed. Justin Herbert boots out. I was fine with the play call, but
Sure.
They rush Conklin onto the field. Everything, the timing of the play is all completely out of whack. He throws the ball to Conklin, bounces off his face, incomplete pass. Commanders go down and kick a field goal. And then at 20-10, you're like, man, like that was just a horrible thing. And there were other like bigger swings, but this Jim Harbaugh experience from the last two games is so unlike anything else we've seen previously, where it just looks unorganized, it looks undisciplined, and this is bleeding into Ryan Ficken's unit. And Ryan Ficken, we've loved for the last 5 years because he's just been, or not 5 years, I guess it's 4 years. Anyways, Ryan Ficken, his special teams unit is just so completely buttoned up. And now their kickoff return unit is horrible. The penalties are 2 or 3 times a game. This is just a team that looks completely unrecognizable than the team that we saw in Brazil against the Raiders, at least for moments of the Broncos game, a 3-0 stretch. And most importantly, from last season, the roster should be a lot better right now. And from last season, they just don't look like they have, taken any steps forward right now. This is bad. I don't want to be like sky is falling guy right now. But I have a really hard time picturing this particular team going in and winning competitive football games against good teams. They could barely beat the Giants. They lost to the Giants last week, making all of these mistakes. And then today they play a really good Commanders team, and this is the result. So they're, with the injuries, with everything that else is going on, you can't also be the team that loses the turnover battle, has 22 penalties or whatever else, misses a bunch of tackles, wiping off special teams points. They're not doing any of the little things well right now. And last year, they did all of the little things well right now. And so it's extremely disappointing that this is what we're watching. If they had lost today, 27-24, I don't think we would be having this conversation. Obviously, it would be a bummer loss and everything like that. But the way that this team is playing football right now does not look like a Jim Harbaugh football team.
No, it does not. And to get more specific and on your point of penalties, 24 penalties the last 2 weeks for almost 200 yards. I do not remember the last time the Chargers had 24 penalties in 2 weeks. And I think those are just the ones that counted. I don't even think those are the ones that includes the ones that were declined. If I'm wrong, I apologize. Regardless, the floor for this number is 24 for almost 200 yards. And between that and the 2 timeouts by like the beginning of the second quarter, I believe, because they couldn't figure out how to get lined up. The 4th down play, as you said, where they're, Keenan Allen's yelling at the sideline like, "Oh, we have 10 people. Somebody get out here. Who is it?" And Conklin runs out and drops the football, I don't know what Conklin does for this team anymore. But it's like it's this stuff, right? If you talk, look, offensive line loses players and then loses players in game. Offensive line doesn't play well. Hey, you know what? What are you supposed to do? The offensive line was not going to be good. You and I would have both picked a loss if you told me Becton barely played and Trey Pipkins got hurt. Forget it. The Chargers are losing this game, whatever the score ends up being. But those penalties, and it's the penalties, I feel terrible for Wax. He's honestly one of the only people that actually are doing something on special teams the last few weeks out there. He's been making several tackles. I think he made one on the opening kickoff of this game. Yeah. He's the only guy doing much out there. But man, that was a killer penalty. Clearly, first of all, great return by McConkey. Want to see more of that, but the penalty killed them. The frustrating ones, and why I probably won't say anything about Herbert in this game, regardless of what the stats say, are the 2 back-to-back Trey Pipkins penalties after the sack.
Yeah.
where Herbert, I forget what the exact numbers were. Again, I only watched this live, so I apologize. But it was what?
It was like second and 18.
Second and 18 converts. There's a penalty. Okay. Second and 28 converts again by Herbert. Couldn't believe it.
Yeah.
Oh, there's another penalty.
Yeah.
That's so frustrating. You cannot ask Herbert to do more. They convert on second and 18 and then convert on second and 28. And yet he did, except for the part where his offensive line, and unfortunately Trey Pipkins in this instance, couldn't get it together, couldn't get lined up, and then a holding penalty. They don't show those replays a ton in live, so I don't know if you agree or disagree with those. But the point is, the Chargers were penalized like crazy. They're making mistakes. Quentin Johnston's fumble was awfully timed. The tip of the line of scrimmage with the interception. It was just, it's not just Commanders were a better team. I mean, they were. It's just that Chargers were sloppy. It was inexcusable. Yeah. I don't know where to begin. After the Giants loss, you could feel the season going, maybe not the same ceiling as before. But as you said, after today's loss, the floor has completely dropped. Now, they already have 3 wins. So this isn't a 5-win team. They get to play the Raiders again. So it's at least a 4-win team. It's at least a 4-win team, guys. But, I thought they'd be pretty comfortably, at worst, an 8-win team. You show me today where the other 5, 6, or 7 wins are on the schedule with the way they're playing. Anybody in the chat right now, Hampton's not playing, no Alt, no Pipkins. Becton maybe plays the game next week, maybe plays a quarter of that game next week.
Yeah.
After everything you know about the way the Chargers played today and those injuries, are they beating the Dolphins next week, guys? I don't know.
Yeah, man. We can definitely have that conversation. It's bad vibes right now. Regarding the penalties, so obviously they had 24 penalties today. This was the most in a 2-game stretch since 2011 when they had 21 penalties in a 2-game stretch. So it's been a long time. It's extremely difficult to win NFL games in general, but when you are dealing with that amount of penalties, it's bad. Tariq still, I love watching him play football. He tackles his butt off. He plays the run so well. For the most part, his instincts are incredibly, high IQ stuff. He is too good of a football player to be constantly making the same mistake where he's trying to be a little too cool with it, where he'll try and sneak his head around at the very last moment. And there are officiating crews who will let that get away. They'll let you get away with that. But then today he tries to get his head around too late again, and Deebo Samuel pulls him down. Pass interference, drive continues. There were so many moments in this game where the Chargers just were unable to capitalize on the field position or a long, conversion. So, we can talk about a lot of different things, but I think the defense really showed up in a poor fashion today. So the Quentin Johnston fumble happens, and they get, I think it was a tackle for loss from Deshaun Hand, and then an incomplete pass. They're 3rd and 16. And then was it Deebo Samuel? I can't remember if it was Deebo Samuel or if it was one of the other ones, but they convert for 17. Then they continue to go down. They score a touchdown. Obviously after the leading into the halftime moment, you have a punt. J.K. Scott pins them deep. He hits Luke McCaffrey for 50 yards, field goal. The way that the defense was just unable to get off the field. It was Jalen Lane. Shout out to a Bogmamiga fan, which I think is so funny that we're still doing that. Eamon's been on the Bears for the last 3 years. The defense looked like they got completely taken back to the woodshed tonight. It was a rough performance from Jesse Minter. I thought he was again out schemed and by a coordinator who should have no business out scheming him. And then there were just, again, too many mistakes, too many communication errors. The amount of times where Commanders pass catchers were just completely running free was so alarming to me. And, people will make excuses for the injuries. The Commanders were missing their best receiver today and their 3rd best receiver. Austin Eckler was not in this game. They do not have Sam Cosmi, who's there. I think is probably their best right guard. The person who was starting the season at left guard, Brandon Coleman, who they took in the second round last year, they benched him after week 2. Jaden Daniels is very clearly not 100%, today. And the Commanders looked like an absolute buzzsaw. So it just, again, we're used to a certain level of play from the defense, from the special teams, from the culture. And right now, we're just not getting it. Like, this is 2 very concerning and bad performances in a row from the Chargers defense.
Yeah, it's this one's a tricky one for me because I'm of 2 minds of it. Part of it is based on expectation, and part of it's just kind of what the reality is here. Because I expect a certain level of play from Jesse Minter's defense, and so right now I think was it a 57% success rate for the Commanders on offense today. 57% success rate on offense for the Commanders. Granted, it's 1 game. But the highest success rate in the NFL right now on offense is the Rams with 50%. That's number 1 in the NFL. Commanders were at 57% today. Chargers were at 38%.
I think so. That sounds
right. Which would make them 30th behind the Bengals and Jake Browning and the Raiders, who aren't very good.
Sick.
So, pretty good,
awesome.
Right? That's great, isn't it? The defense, I expect more from. Tarheeb still... I think it was the Raiders game was the first game not flagged, but probably could have been flagged for that issue, if I'm not mistaken. And it's been 3 or 4 times now. Pretty good with everything in front of him, right? If he can play off and like break down and break up a pass, pretty good. Tackling, great. But that particular thing is going to be an issue. And now it just feels like free money for any team. You go, let's see, it's 3rd and 15. Don't have a lot of great receivers out there. They'll give us a penalty. Don't worry about it. And it's costing the Chargers clearly. So I expect more from Jesse Minter's defense. On the other hand, as we've sort of mentioned last year, and it worked, but concerns this year and definitely concerns now, Chargers just don't have a ton of real playmakers out there. And people will give me a hard time for saying I think they don't have a lot of stars out there. They don't. They just don't. They are now suffering from the 2 things they've neglected the most the last 2 years: interior offensive line depth and really anything for Jesse Minter to work with. No offense to the guys that are out there. For the most part, it has worked. But you're starting to see now, and if you don't play perfect, if there are some penalties and you don't have a Khalil Mack out there, you just feel the lack of talent, the lack of pass rush out there. I'm watching Jaden Daniels. I don't care what Jesse Minter throws at them. I don't care how good this group is at defending the run. I'm watching Daniels go 1,000, 2,000.
Dude, he had all day.
It wasn't even like, I don't even know if he made many plays running, yes, but where he like bought a ton of time and then made a great play. Maybe he did. I don't recall. But it was just like, I'm just a pocket quarterback today. Why? There's no pressure. Like Jaden Daniels was happy to be an in the pocket quarterback. You could have given Phillip Rivers' body. He would have been like, yeah, no problem. No problem. That guy. And at the end of the day, whatever your receivers are, Jackson, Still, Hart, St. Juice, and these guys, they can't cover for 3, 4, 5 seconds at some point. Several times a game. So it's
true.
I expect more from Jesse Minter's defense. I also think that we are at this kind of point where we have to be realistic with what they really are, which is still outperforming expectations. But when you start to lose a couple of players and then you have these penalties, you just feel it so much. But they need some help. And they need it now, and they need it next year, and they needed it a year ago.
Yeah, and I think even Khalil Mack coming back, like that's going to help a lot because they played Khalil and Farrell like 18 snaps today.
Yeah, 17 snaps today for Khalil. He was out there. I'm like, who is that? I don't know who that is.
There was a drive. He started the second half and played like a lot of snaps in the second half. It's stunning. It felt like Cliff Kingsbury, anytime that they could get Caleb Murphy or Bud Dupree or Cleveland Farrell on the left side, they were just like red laser circling that player, and we're just going to make that player try and defend the run, and we're going to run right at them. and Bill Krosky-Merritt ran for almost 9 yards a carry today. And, they're going to do the toss situation and they're going to do screens that way. It felt like Cliff Kingsbury was like, edge rusher, and then also Troy Dye, who I really like. I think he played really well for them last season. He's not playing particularly well right now. They're having a lot of issues from a communication standpoint at the second level that they just were not happening. So Khalil Mack coming back potentially after the Dolphins game would be huge for this team. But the amount of missed tackles, there was I want to say in the third quarter when it was 20-10, the Commanders were driving down and they get again like a 3rd and 10 situation. Jaden Daniels throws it a check down to Jeremy McNichols to the flat, and Tariq still misses a tackle. Troy Dye misses a tackle. First down, they end up going down and continuing the drive. It was a problem all day. So if you're going to build the roster this way, you have to do what you did last year, which is coach incredibly well, have zero mistakes, get a lot of turnovers, and none of that is happening right now. There's a lot of mistakes, a lot of missed tackles, and there's not a lot of splash plays. Like Tier Tart, man, like that was a heck of a forced fumble. But Tier Tart and Tuli Tuipulotu and Derwin James cannot be your only players capable of splash plays on defense. Like at some point, these other guys are going to have to start making plays. And I think we're at the point where Jesse Minter probably needs to channel a little bit of his mentor and just crank up the blitz rate, man. Like they're 30th in blitz rate right now, 30th. And it shows, like you mentioned, Jane Daniels was chilling back there today. So I think we expect a lot of this Jesse Minter defense. I think he and this defensive coaching staff are going to have to take some seriously hard questions and look at how they are playing and trying to figure out if that is sustainable. And right now, I just don't know if it is, man. The Dolphins are not a powerhouse offense next week, but they have talent, man. And for whatever reason, Darren Waller looks awesome. The week after that, you play the Indianapolis Colts, who are, I think, second in the league in success rate. They look like an absolute buzzsaw on offense. It does not get any easier for the defense, and I think they're going to have to make some serious changes from a schematic standpoint, from a play style standpoint, go trade for an edge rusher.
Yeah.
The defense just cannot continue to play this way, and if they do and the offense continues to have their issues, it's going to be for a long season, you guys.
Yeah, we were concerned with the defense just regressing towards, 12th, maybe 15th this year, which could still be, that's still a success to me personally. But that was considering the whole season. They opened with a Chiefs team that was down their 2 receivers by the 3rd play of the game and was not very good to start the season at all. That Chiefs offense was terrible. Then you get the Raiders, who are a dumpster fire right now. Then the Broncos, who really still haven't figured it out on offense. And thank God he missed 3 throws in that game. Then you had the Giants and Jackson Dart. Then you had a returning from injury Jaden Daniels with half the skill position players and some offensive linemen hurt. And that's kind of where we're at with this defense. That's the outcome right now for this group. They haven't faced a good offense yet. And I'm concerned for when that will be, whenever that is. Let's say it's the Cowboys. Are you going to get shredded by the Cowboys now? Seems like it. And they're trying. They're working their butts off. I don't know if they'll be good by the end of the year. But you're going to play the Colts. Who's stopping Jonathan Taylor? Hey, next week, am I running it every single time towards any non-Thule edge rusher? Am I going to fake play action, watch Troy Dye and Dana Hanley bite again or whatever for the 30th time, and then pitch it out to somebody? Am I going to run it to the left? I mean, Krosky-Merritt had 2 touchdowns today by himself?
Yeah,
off the left side because the linebackers were stuck.
Easiest touchdowns of his career, I guarantee you.
They were up there hugging the center, going, "Oh shoot! Oh, there he goes. Oops! No edge set. Linebackers biting, jumping up the 2nd week in a row." And that's the scary part: is these linebackers have been very good, and it just has not been a good couple of weeks for them. So, yeah, next week's going to be rough. I think we'll talk about it. That has not been good showing for the defense. As you said, they got to find something, anything, crank it up, change it, whatever, because it is only going to get more difficult. These have been pretty gimme weeks, I think, in terms of offense. So the Commanders are 9th in success rate. They've been pretty good. Playing the Raiders seems to help, apparently. But the other teams they've faced, the Chiefs, who are barely finally figuring it out, the Raiders, who are 28th. Who else have they played? The Broncos, who are moving up, I think. Where are they? They're 23rd in success rate. Like they're not. The Giants are 22nd. They're looking like this against the teams that haven't been so good. So they got a few buzzsaw teams coming up in terms of offense, and it does not get any easier.
Yeah. Speaking of not getting easier, man, the injuries today on offense continue to be a problem. So Trey Pipkins, dealing with a knee injury, is in and out of the lineup the entire day today. Mekhi Becton, dealing with a hand injury, in and out. He said after the game he should be able to play next week, but he's going to have a club hand. So I guess that was the issue, is that just during the game they were not able to, they were not able to like properly wrap his hand up. And then the big loss, Omarion Hampton, seen after the game in a walking boot. He's been the main bright spot for the offense the last 2 weeks. And when the first few drives with Hampton being like the main focal point of the offense, it actually looked okay. It looked like they were going to be able to, potentially win this game. And obviously they had a chance to go up like 17-0 when Quentin Johnston fumbled. So no Omarion Hampton next week. Becton with a club. No Trey Pipkins. No Joe Alt. It's tough, man. Like the defense, I think I'm going to be a lot harder on the defense. I think, we'll see what the film says, but the offense, it's just extremely difficult to function when you're dealing with these kind of injuries. Now, is it your job to prevent the penalties and everything like that? Yes, absolutely. But when you are flip-flopping Foster Sorrell in there at right guard, Jamari Sawyer at right tackle, it's a problem, man. And you mentioned it earlier. They are dealing with a lot of, a lack of proper interior line depth, and it showed up again today. So we'll see what happens. Becton said he's going to play next week. I think Joe Alt is probably eyeballing a return against the Colts. The Dolphins defense is not great, but where they are strong is at edge rusher with Jalen Phillips, Bradley Chubb, Chop Robinson. Who does that sound like? That sounds a lot like the Giants to me. So it's tough, man. The offensive line's in a brutal situation. No Omarion Hampton next week, potentially longer. It's going to be a tough watch for the offense next week at minimum.
It's almost like you could lose everybody along that line, but with the way Hampton has looked, and he looked great today, it's like at least you have that. It's a check down, it's a run to him, you name it. You at least have Hampton, you can lean on him, and it was working. He looked great. Him being out now, obviously with Najee Harris also out, it's so strange with Herbert as the guy at quarterback. It just feels like the offense is somehow gone. With Hampton out there, it just feels like there's such a lack of hope. Not that I don't believe in the receivers, not that I don't believe in Herbert, but that if you go with Hampton, a lot of teams and the identity of the Chargers and what they can do, even with their linemen, I think they can run the football. They can't pass protect. And with Hampton gone now, who's been a check down outlet for them to help Herbert in these situations, I don't know what next week is going to be. I really don't. This has been the most banged up offense I can recall. The offense they will field next week, it seems to be, will be the most banged up they've been since 2014, 2015 maybe. I mean, they've had some bad seasons with Herbert playing offense on the offense. Don't get me wrong, but I mean, everybody's basically out. So we'll see with Hampton. I hope he can return sooner rather than later. Hope the boot's more for precaution or whatever. I don't know. But yeah, that fourth down conversion was a conversion that was ugly, didn't work. Conklin dropped it. Commanders get it back. It basically ends the game, and Hampton got hurt on that play.
Yeah.
That was quite a turning point for the Chargers. And as soon as he was gone, when the Chargers got to the 1 yard line, if Hampton were in there, this is a game. This is easily a game for the Chargers. If Hampton is in there, granted, Vidal had a nice run to get them to the 1. But everyone in the stadium knows it goes to Hampton at that point, and he punches it in. Not out there, and the Chargers didn't look the same. It was, yeah. If Hampton is out next week, I can't pick the Chargers to win, guys. I get it because it's the Dolphins and they're kind of a little bit of a joke.
They lost to the Panthers today.
Did they really?
Yes.
Oh no!
And they were up like 23-10.
Oh God! The Giants just lost to the Saints and gave Kellen Moore his first win. So made Brandon Staley look like a defensive genius. I don't know, guys.
So you're potentially starting Austin Deculus at left tackle, Zion at left guard, obviously Bozeman at center, Becton at right guard, assuming he can play with the club, and then Jamari Sawyer will be your right tackle. Foster Sorrell will be your swing everything, and then you're going to be elevating Sam Mustipher and Bobby Hart from the practice squad who you just signed. It's tough, man. It's tough. Like, the good news is that these players should be returning. Joe Alt should be coming back soon. He did a media appearance yesterday before the game, or not yesterday, on Friday, I should say, which I think is noticeable or notable, I should say. Becton can play through the club. You know, hopefully you can get Pipkins healthy at some point. And hopefully Omari Hampton is just a similar situation as Joe Alt, where it's like maybe a game or two. But I don't know, man. The whole point of the offseason was let's get Justin Herbert some weapons. And now we're just at the point where it's just not even going to matter because the offensive line is in such shambles. So again, we saw the Dallas Cowboys go into New York and have 4 backup offensive linemen, and they put 37 on the New York Jets. So it's possible, but I don't particularly trust the offensive coordinator to really get that done right now. So it's not good vibes today, you guys. And it's just, it was an ugly watch. Like I've said this before, but normally when the Chargers play and I'm at home, I do not sit down. Like I'm standing, I'm yelling, I'm like clapping at the TV, high-fiving Brooke, all this stuff. After the Commanders came out in the first drive of the second half and just marched down the field for a touchdown, I was just on my couch the rest of the game. So it was a depressing watch today. Like no way about it. It was depressing today. Yeah.
So the Chargers get that interception, tip pass. Bozeman was terrible. I don't care what the numbers say today. I watched him. I just watched him a lot of today and last week, and I'm so over it. After that, the Commanders get the ball at the 1 yard line, 9 yards, 10 yards, 9 yards, false start, holding, but then unnecessary roughness. So first down, 1 yard, 8 yard rush, illegal formation, but the defensive pass interference, 15 yards for Krusky Merritt, 9 for Debo, 3 yards, 2 yards, 3 yards, -2, and then a touchdown on fourth down. It's just depressing to watch that team get 2 penalties, extend their drive. Yeah, it was brutal. The offensive line, someone asked me today, I joked on Twitter, like, where should we start today? And people were saying, well, you should start with the depth on the offensive line. And I'm just like, no,
we've had that conversation so much.
It was such a hot button topic to even bring it up multiple times in the offseason. And now here we are again. Now, it's, I think, a separation of there's a different take for every spot in every situation. Losing your 2 Pro Bowl tackles right now sucks. That sucks. Can't prepare for that. Yes, you can have a backup tackle, swing tackle, whatever. That sucks. You can't prepare for that. On the other hand, once these injuries have been piling up, what have you done? Austin Deculus and Sam Mustipher, the tackle that the Texans, who are garbage along the offensive line, the one they didn't want, and they got rid of another one too. And then no, who got rid of Cam Robinson? Was that the Browns?
Browns, yeah.
Lovely.
Or no, the Texans traded him to the Browns.
Oh, that's what it was. Anyway, so the one the Texans didn't want, and then Sam Mustipher, who we all know, and if you put that name out there, Steven cringes a little bit because you got to watch him play. And it's nothing against these players. It's just that ain't depth, guys. That's not depth. So
I mean, Foster Sorrell did not make the Commanders, and they had a fun time rushing against him.
yeah, no kidding. So I don't know what to do about the offensive line. The thing is that nothing is going to change. Nothing's going to change. You pointed out on social media this week, whether it was Thursday or Friday, the trades that happen with offensive linemen. And there have been some. And look, the Chargers might be that one that happens every 10 years. So it's possible. But no one ever trades starting offensive linemen. It doesn't happen.
No.
And those pieces that are really important to teams, even if they are trying to blow up their roster, if they're important to those teams, they stick around because they're important to those teams. So the Chargers aren't suddenly getting a Pro Bowl, center, I don't think. And the Saints just won today, so who knows? But yeah, offensive line depth not good.
Yeah, we're probably gonna do a trade deadline show on Tuesday because we just have zero interest in watching the film from today. So that'll be fun. There's not gonna be any offensive linemen on the list. Yeah, at least not any starters. It's just I went through and looked through any transaction between 2020 and now because I figured that was like a good time for it. So in between training camp and the trade deadline of those last 6 years, there have been 6 center trades, and none of them were a starting center going to another team to start. It was always like a backup center with a team who has 3 backup centers or whatever goes to another team who doesn't have a backup center. So that part is just not happening. You can get potential guards. That is the one area where you can go get some help at the trade deadline. But yeah, it's bad. With the Bradley Bozeman thing, we talked about on Tuesday how there were multiple times where like Bozeman and Jamari like were on opposite pages, and that happened again today. It happened with Bozeman and Becton today. It's so concerning that an 8-year veteran who's played center for 5 years in a row and has been in this particular system for the bulk of his career still is allowing the amount of free rushers that he is allowing. And like, maybe there's just some kind of thing that's not being, communicated properly. But Tom Brady was talking about this too, where usually when you see an amount of free rushers that are happening for the Chargers over the last 2 weeks, it's an offensive line communication problem. It's not like a lack of talent. The Commanders are not exactly like the most talented offensive line. I think Larry Tunsil is a very, very talented player, but their right guard is Andrew Wiley right now, who played tackle for the bulk of his career for the Chiefs as like a backup player. Their left guard is Chris Paul, who was a former undrafted player. Tyler Biotic is like fine at center. He's not like Corey Linsley by any means. And there's no communication issues on that side. So again, everything starts with the center. There is such poor communication going on with the Chargers from a pass protection standpoint every week. And Justin Herbert is getting hit at just an exponentially high rate. So the numbers could have changed, but like, at the end of the third quarter, Fox put up this graphic where Herbert had been sacked 5 times and the average time to pressure was like 2.1 seconds. That is basically like Herbert is getting to his drop and there's pressure. Like 2.16 average time to pressure is insanely bad. And it's almost always like communication issues. And, let's put our tight ends on Von Miller and Dorrance Armstrong. Like, I'm so frustrated by the pass protection right now. People in the chat asking earlier were like, should Mike Dillon be fired? Yes. What has he done to show anyone any confidence that the offensive line is going to turn this thing around and suddenly be the unit that we all think they can be? So I'm over the Bradley Bozeman experience. I've been over it. We were not advocating for Bozeman to return.
Right.
And they gave him a 2-year deal anyway, and it's been worse than it was last year. So it's extremely frustrating right now to see all of the communication issues that are happening up front. And Justin Herbert he's going to shatter his amount of career highs in sacks because this offensive line cannot communicate against the Commanders.
Right. Who, we mentioned they have some good interior guys, but I think I joked after the first 2 weeks of the season that Von Miller had one of the worst pass rush win rates in the NFL. I think he was last with 0 after 2 weeks. And I think he had 2 sacks this game at least.
Yep.
2 pressures here and there. So yeah, that's not great. Herbert 2.16 is brutal, especially for a team that wants to do anything, push anything down the field. I'm at a loss with this group. I'm mostly sick of talking about them, but it is impossible for the Chargers to do anything. They finally did it. Trey Harris has been their sacrificial X all season long. Hasn't really been involved, but he's a blocker for them. He's a motion guy. Mess things up, try to get other guys open. They had him wide open down the sideline for a touchdown. Would have been by himself towards me. I would have jumped down to the field and hugged him. It would have been an awesome moment for the United States of America. But there's an instant pressure, and Herbert's gonna go, oh well, poof. I gotta go do whatever and throw it out of bounds or whatever he ended up doing. And Trey Harris, you could see just so frustrated because he was by himself.
Yeah.
There was nobody around him. I'm going to be sick to my stomach when I watch it on film tomorrow. But pressure in 2.16 seconds. Oh, well. Yeah, but Bradley, we've said it weeks now, but I'm so over this group. And yet I'm pretty sure they're all going to return next year. And you cannot in the chat convince me that they're not going to do that again, especially because Bradley Bozeman is still under contract. You cannot convince me that this exact offensive line, at least the starting 5, is back next year. You cannot convince me that it's going to be different next year. I'd love to hear a good reason. And if your reason is, well, they're bad, they were bad last year. So I don't know what to tell you. Someone convince me.
They were bad last year. And not only did they not replace them, they didn't even bother bringing in competition. So I wanted to bring this. Yeah, I wanted to bring this up from Robert, and I guess we can kind of move on from here. So, last season Justin Herbert was sacked 41 times, which was a career high. Do you? I just pulled this up, but if you had to guess, Tyler, how many sacks do you think he is on pace for right
now? Okay. I'm going to guess it's not great. So 41 sacks last year. We think it's going to be over. 54.
58. So Robert was
is 58 higher than 41?
Yeah, 58 is a lot higher than 41. So right now the Chargers offensive line is allowing 3.5 sacks per game on Justin Herbert. A 17 game pace would be 57.9. So 58 sacks for Justin Herbert, you guys.
For one of the best at avoiding sacks, by the way. Thank God he's Justin Herbert.
Yeah, I wonder who. Let's look at last year. Who was sacked the most in the league last year?
CJ Stroud.
Caleb Williams was sacked 68 times last year.
Oh wait, I thought you couldn't upgrade an entire interior offensive line in one offseason. How's he doing? Isn't he doing okay? Aren't they doing okay in Chicago right now?
Yeah, they're doing pretty good. Let's see the exact numbers there.
I mean, Caleb Williams is still taking sacks. Don't get me wrong.
Yeah, that's who he is. Caleb Williams has been sacked. I did not look at today, but heading into today, he had been sacked 6 times. 6 times in 4 games after being sacked 68 times last year.
So you can turn around an entire offensive line unit, and you don't have to bring anybody else back.
Yeah. Yeah, Alex says, can you imagine Justin Herbert without a run game and taking 58 sacks?
And it's only going to get worse. This is healthier early in the season, Herbert, before we get to the 30th sack and the 40th sack.
Yeah, there was you talked about this last week. You could noticeably tell on tape that he did not look like his usual self. And then today, there was that sack where Dorrance Armstrong kind of like Austin Deculus wins initially, and then Herbert steps up, and Dorrance Armstrong just kind of like loops back in around. And you could tell that Herbert was like really slow to get up after that one. So I don't know, man. Like I'm at the point where you probably just need to run the football every play just to keep Herbert upright for the next little bit here.
At least they ran it with Herbert. Like,
yeah,
if you're gonna get him hit, cool. Have him going forward.
Yeah.
So
yeah, he had 2 really good runs today. It was fun.
It was. Hey, they were awesome.
All right. I think I've said my piece today. Do you have any final thoughts on this game before we get to some super chats?
Nothing new to add, but I just want to say this special teams unit no longer deserves the automatic grace that it has been getting for years now. And it's deserved the last few years because they've been awesome. Now they don't have Josh Harris. And maybe that's the secret sauce, right? Josh Harris comes back, Khalil Mack comes back, and you just have your guys. And, they're not doing too bad anymore. Like things change. And granted, I do think Josh Harris does actually have a noticeable effect. So we'll see. But they can't return kicks. They can't cover kicks. They can't return punts. They can't cover punts. If they return a punt, it's a penalty. So I am at a loss for words on the special teams group because Ficken has been their best coach for like 3 or 4 years in a row. And now it's an unrecognizable group. Thank goodness Cameron Dicker can still hit 55-yard field goals. So it's not completely terrible, but it's no longer the dominant group that it was before.
Yeah. So Chargers, the Chargers get the opening kick, right? So they lose the coin toss, their opening kick. There's a penalty on the opening kick, which would have given them the ball at the 35-yard line.
Mm-hmm.
The Chargers decide to re-kick.
Yeah, I don't get that
and
one.
do another return that Keandre Lambert-Smith gets to the 22-yard line. And it didn't matter. The Chargers went and scored a touchdown on that drive.
Mm-hmm.
But then the Commanders on that following kickoff, Luke McCaffrey takes it to the 40-yard line. And I'm like, oh my gosh, are you kidding? Like the first 2 returns we see are just exactly what I was dreading, where the Commanders get a great return. The Chargers get a horrible return. And it's just hard to the moral of the story today, guys, is that it's hard to win football games when you're this bad on all of the margins.
Mm-hmm.
Special teams, penalties, turnovers, pressure. You can't be bad at all of that. And the Chargers were bad at all of that today, which is not fun.
Yeah, and I can kind of applaud them trying something different with the returners. It was Vidal and Keandre Lambert-Smith. Obviously, they don't have really a choice because there's no Darius Davis, but they're trying something different. Okay.
Sure.
I don't know. I didn't really pay attention a ton after this because I didn't care. But the Commanders kick it towards Keandre Lambert-Smith on the first one, and then they line up again to kick it again. And they actually decide to switch. So Vidal and Keandre Lambert-Smith switch kind of right before the kick to see if they can get something maybe a little different, throw him off guard, whatever. And the kicker, you can see him, notices that, and he actually moves in a different direction to kick it towards Keandre Lambert-Smith again. So if they were ready to kick it at Keandre Lambert-Smith, and that seemed to be their whole goal, and it worked. I don't know if they knew anything about Keandre Lambert-Smith being out there, but the kicker went, oh, you're moving. Got it. I'm going that way. So both those opening kickoffs went to him on purpose. And it wasn't great again. I don't get what happens. I don't know what's being coached, but I know Keandre Lambert-Smith is fast. If nothing else, I know he's fast. And I'm still watching him go. He's at the 5. He's at the 7.
Yeah.
He's at the 8.
Yeah.
Tackle at the 21. What happened? And I watched the Commanders or any other team go 5, 20, 30, 35, 40. Okay, so we only need 25 yards and we get a field goal. I mean, I don't know what's happening on the return game.
Yeah. There was a returner for the Titans today that had like a 60-yard return, and his highest speed on there was like 18 miles per hour. So objectively, like not fast. Like Jordan Davis clocked faster on his block to go for a touchdown. And so like Keandre Lambert-Smith is a legit like 4-3 guy. I don't get it. The return game looks so difficult to them. Obviously it sucks that Lamb McConkey's punt return did not count, but just all around bad operation right now. It's not good.
Yes.
Okay, before we get to some super chats, have to pay our own bills with a prize pick to read for you guys. Obviously, not a great day for the Chargers, but hopefully you were able to do some emotional hedging over on prize picks where it pays to be right. So don't miss any of the excitement this season on prize picks where it is good to be right. Unfortunately, the Chargers losing Omarion Hampton today was probably bad for your prize picks thing, but I think you probably was okay up until that point. But all you have to do on prize picks, super simple. Just go on the app, pick more or less on 2 to 6 player stat projections. If you get your picks right, you could cash in on prize picks this season. It is also available in over 40 states, including California, Texas, and Georgia. So download the app today. Use the code GUILTY to get $50 in lineups after you play your first $5 lineup. Again, that's code GUILTY to get $50 in lineups after you play your first $5 lineup. Prize Picks. It's good to be right.
And the Patriots beat the Bills.
The Patriots beat the Bills. Wow. Okay.
Yep.
The good news for the Chargers is that the AFC kind of stinks. Like, there's no really good team in the AFC. So you're 3-2. You're not out of it. There's your positive takeaway, I guess, for tonight.
Yeah, they started strong enough where they can get to the dance and do something. The Ravens don't seem like they're going to be in it at all.
Nope.
But unfortunately, the real problem is the division, where the Broncos just got a signature win over the Eagles.
That's such
bullshit. Yes. But win is a win for them, unfortunately. Now tied with the Chargers, and for the record at least. And the Chiefs just beat the Ravens, who aren't very good, but they suddenly have life on offense. So now you have, instead of 4-0, 4-1, or 5-0 lead, you are right there with the two other AFC teams, AFC West teams, who are looking a lot better these days, unfortunately.
Yeah. All right. Mr. Dark Chow Chow on cue says Zion played very well this game. Pay that man now.
I didn't see any significant errors. I'm watching from 231, but
yeah,
as of, if you care about grades, fine. I'm just letting you know, because we have nothing else to go on, no film. He was the third highest graded player for them and he allowed 2 pressures, but it wasn't a sack. So that's that.
Yeah.
Seemed like there's some okay run blocking in there.
On the third down in the red zone, when the Chargers were about to kick a field goal and then the Commanders jumped off sides and then they scored a touchdown, Zion did get beat on a stunt by Armstrong on that play. It wasn't like a catastrophic, loss of a rep. Like, he still was able to kind of recover and at least get Armstrong out of the way. And then there was another one like late in the third quarter, I want to say, but outside of that, I don't remember any like bad Zion moments. It's, I guess, good for him.
Yay, least bad.
We're at the point where Zion's their best lineman, though. Like, for all of the hate that people throw at him, and I'm not saying that he's playing like amazing this year, we're at the point where he's their best lineman right now, and that sucks. Like, that's not good.
Yeah, that is not what it's. Zion being their best offensive lineman. If you told me that at the start of the year, I'd say great. That means there's 3 Pro Bowlers, right?
Yeah.
But nope, it's because he's the last one standing.
Pretty much. Austin Smith says, what the fuck happened? Murphy's Law today. The free agency failed in bolstering the offensive line for sure. But wow, the universe with Slater, Alton, Lindsley healthy must kick ass. Yeah, that would be amazing to watch.
That would be nice.
Really
There's an alternate world where, really, that 2023 offense. There's a world where Kellen Moore is continuing with what he was doing against the Vikings. They're shredding everybody. Mike Williams turns his career around. Keenan's got 42 receptions in 3 weeks.
Yeah,
everything looks good. There's a world where that continued, but nope.
Yeah. Hey man, the Saints apparently look kind of good on offense, so we'll see what happens there. Blake says, why do we get more injuries than average teams year after year? The same thing always happens. Is it the training staff or just cursed? So the injury data for the Chargers is not as cursed as we make it out to be from an overall standpoint. It just happens to be that their injured players are their best players. But when you compare total injuries, there are worse teams that get injured. Like the 49ers, I think, are always way more injured than the Chargers ever have been. So, it could be worse.
Niners seem to have it terrible every year. The Chargers, at least on defense, have been pretty kept together. It's been Mac, but otherwise, generally speaking, it's most of the guys that are out there. It's just like you said, it's their best players. It's on offense, and it's at the position where you have no depth. So you just feel it more too.
Yeah, like the Baltimore Ravens today played a game without. I think Kyle Van Noy played, but if you ranked all of their top 10 players, I think everybody else on that list was all injured today.
Yeah,
and they got housed by the Texans, who are not a good football team.
Ooh, no. Yeah, not great.
So, training staff is. people blame the training staff a lot, and I get it. But with how little the team is actually together, there's really not a lot that the training staff can do. Like in college, you're with your training staff the entire year. You get a few weeks off after the season, but then when the semester starts back up, you're right back at it in January. And then you get like June off, and then you're in summer camp. So your training staff is with your players for 9 months, 5 days a week. In the NFL, some players train the whole season, off season in LA, but not everybody. And really, you're only allowed, 6 walkthrough practices really in the off season. So the training staff stuff is really overblown when injuries happen, where, a lot of these players are training in the off season with their own guys. And the only time they actually get to the Chargers training staff is in training camp. And then, so like Mekhi Becton was barely in LA this offseason, comes to training camp, and then he's hurt for the whole training camp. Like, that's not really the training staff's fault, because they have no time on task with him. So it's just a mix of everything. Sometimes it's bad luck. Like, how on earth are you supposed to prepare Rashawn Slater for that injury where he just stepped wrong, and then there was like a little bit of extra pressure and boom, torn patella tendon? Like, that's a freak injury. So, how am I supposed to blame the training staff for that?
Yeah. I mean, Joey Bosa for a while actively avoided practicing with the Chargers and being with the Chargers all offseason, and he still was hurt every year. So like, even being away from the team didn't help anybody. Yeah.
Khalil Mack has mostly been a very healthy player, and then he played through 2 double groin tears last year. I think the biggest example of this is probably Najee Harris.
Literally.
Where he never missed a game in college or in Pittsburgh, comes to the Chargers, has the firework thing, and then blows out his Achilles, his first like real game of seeing game action. So sometimes these things are just freak accidents. And we as fans want to blame the training staff, but it's kind of hard to do that all the time.
Yeah.
Landon says Tyler Linderbaum signing in April. What are your thoughts there?
If they're stupid enough, sure. If the Ravens want to go ahead and do that, by all means. I don't know why they would, but go for it. You want to blow up your team and get rid of the good center you have? Fine.
Yeah. If he actually hits free agency, then yes, I think you have to do that, and they have the cap space to do that. But
if he hits free agency and the Chargers don't get it done, and they go with Bozeman.
Bozeman or a rookie?
I can live with rookie, I guess, but jeez.
Yeah. Miss Andrea Schoen in the chat, I always appreciate her jumping in here, says, oof, rough game, but always a great game with my son.
It was a great 1.5 quarters. Like, we were genuinely having fun. That McConkey, stadium was absolutely rocking with that McConkey return.
Yeah.
People, as soon as like the second Quentin Johnson catch happened, maybe the run happened, everyone's like, yo, you can hear the cues through the TV.
Yep, you could. On the reverse, you could hear it, yeah.
Yep. And then he fumbled it. And then the rest of the game sucked.
Yeah. Tough one. Ends the streak of over 70 yards too. So not great.
Oh, yeah. Yeah.
Alex says, since Denver game, Minter's scheme / approach / adjustments haven't been great. OCs have taken advantage of the same soft spots in our pass coverage / run defense, and I'm worried Miami will do the same. You better believe that Mike McDaniel is going to have a laser pointer on the exact same things that Cliff Kingsbury did, because they run like an identical system right now.
Oh, yeah. You think Ja'Cory Krosky-Merritt to the left side is the problem? How about HN, who you're not going to catch at all?
No. Yeah, like I said earlier, they've got to have some tough conversations in that defensive meeting room and figure out a way to start getting off the field more often. Tara says, is there another team in the NFL that has been down 3 to 4 starting offensive linemen and is having success? Are the injuries on OL something we can actually overcome?
Another team, the Cowboys today with Schottenheimer, who maybe I have to now apologize to for laughing at for their hire.
Probably saying.
Are there injuries on the line we can overcome? No. Well, in the short term, no. If you get Becton and Alt back out there and everybody else is healthy, you can overcome it. But for now, no.
I think the like the Vikings played with 3 backups today against the Cleveland Browns, and it wasn't pretty,
And Carson
but
Wentz, though.
with Carson Wentz, they they did enough to win. And again, like they're playing a much more severely limited offense on the other side with the Browns, but they did enough on offense where they could at least be like a competent unit, And so is it extremely difficult to have success with that many injuries up front? Yes, absolutely. But you can still do enough to manage in the short term. Like if you deal with these injuries for the entire season, it's extremely difficult to be the same kind of season. Like um I forget if it was Benjamin Solak or somebody else, but they brought up the whole situation with the Detroit Lions and the absence of Frank Ragnow, and that when Frank Ragnow missed 6 games in 2024, their offensive EPA per play went from like second in the league when he was on the field to like 24th in the league when he was off the field.
Wow.
And that's an elite level center and things like that. Elite left tackles, right tackles, they have a lot of value, absolutely. The trick is being able to manage it for a game or two while they get healthy, and then hopefully you can get them back. But success for an entire season, like without that many starters, is it's damn near impossible for sure.
Yeah.
Davis says, is it safe to say that they need to make an offensive line move now, or should we just hope that these guys somehow get 3 times better?
3 times would be nice. Bradley Bozeman would not need 10 times, but
1 time better would be great.
4% better. Anything else I will take.
Yeah.
They are going to hope that their guys can get healthier and be better. They're not going to make a significant move on the offensive line. Again, I understand that they've lost 2 tackles along the way, and maybe that should, well, granted, Alt's coming back, but that's kind of the thing. If they thought that Bozeman was bad enough to replace, they would have done it. They're not going to suddenly go, well, now that I thought about it, Bozeman, I guess, isn't center, so maybe we should make it. Like, there's no competition. So I think for the most of us, we're like, Bozeman's the guy they would replace, or their right tackle. It's not happening, guys. It really isn't. So they're banking on in this group getting better somehow.
Yeah, a significant move is definitely not happening. As we talked about, trading for a starting caliber center or tackle is just not possible.
Mm-hmm.
Could they go out and trade for like an Evan Neal type of player who's could maybe push Jamari out to tackle full time, and that's your guard, or maybe a Zach Zinter on the Browns who's like a healthy scratch every single week? They could do that, but they're not getting a legitimate like starting caliber surefire problem. And then Tom Brady was talking about it today, where the offensive line is such a cohesion position where you have to have reps together, that just throwing in another guy is not going to make things better right away. Like you probably feel a little bit more comfortable with your depth, but it's not going to like drastically change your team. So right now they just have to continue to for me, this is becoming a play caller issue where they're just not doing enough to mitigate the issues. And I understand like there are going to be situations where they have to do straight drop back stuff, but they're not helping Herbert out enough from a protection plan standpoint. And obviously the players are messing up as well.
Yeah, I thought they had a good opening script. There was the rollout to Quentin Johnston. There were some runs. There were easy, quick pitches to Amari and Hampton. There were tons of outside runs for Hampton. I'm like, all right, cool.
Yeah.
And then the defense went, oh yeah, I know who it's Greg Roman. Oh yeah, we got this.
Yeah. Your friendly neighborhood Spider-Man says Minter is secretly getting advice from Staley. I said this before, and people got mad at me. Their systems are like basically the same. It's just that the Chargers.
I freaked out when Cody Alexander said that, because he went on when we talked about it on the Chargers channel and was like, "Yeah, these actually aren't as different as you think they are. It's not going to be some radical change." And I went, "Oh, didn't know that." And then, but yes, I think Cody Alexander. If you don't trust Steven, trust Cody.
Yeah, but it's just that the Chargers were running it at a significantly more effective level, and now they're not. So,
yep.
Tara came back from the Netherlands, says couldn't even run the ball because the Commanders broke through the line before the ball was even being handed off. Also, worst I have seen a Minter defense. Yeah, there was a point where they were trying to hype up Omarion on the broadcast, and then Tom Brady was like, "Well, yeah, he makes so many people miss because he's always hit behind the line of scrimmage." It's like, yeah, not great. So,
Yeah.
the Chargers had Herbert was the leading rusher today with the 60 yards, which is not good. What did Omarion end up at before he got injured? So Omarion was 12 for 44 on the ground, 6 catches, 26 yards. So nothing crazy, but tough to blame him today.
Yeah, he did. The film looks better than maybe that box score.
For sure. Dre says Bo Nix gets the best OL and defense in the league in year 2. Meanwhile, year 6 and Herbert has nothing. Just sucks so bad for him. Not only do the Broncos have the best OL, none of them ever miss games. I don't understand what it is.
Yeah.
But that main 5 in Denver has played like 1,000 more snaps than like any other 5 combination of offensive linemen in the league in like the last 4 years. Like none of them miss games. I don't get it. Must be nice. And yeah, that defense is sick, and Nick Bonito's on pace for like 25 sacks right now.
Neat. That's really great. Yeah. I don't know how some teams stay that healthy. I don't know what it is. They've tried different programs. They've picked literally players who have never missed a game before, and it still doesn't matter. Do the Broncos play on grass? I don't know.
They do, but they didn't play on grass today.
Yeah. I don't know. Well, whatever it is, I want some of that.
Same. Must be nice. OXIY says OL has been bad, but defense took a nosedive out of nowhere. What I hate the most is the Herbert slander when people obviously don't watch games.
Herbert slander, people don't always obviously watch games. Yeah. Where's Ben? Where are you, Ben? Let me find your comment here, Ben. Why can't anyone admit that Justin Herbert has been bad? Yes, his line is not perfect. Has he played poorly? Yes, Herbert has played poorly. No, I reject your hypothesis. That's insanity to me. Again, you cannot do better than 2nd and 18 conversion, 2nd and 28 conversion. I don't know what to tell you about Herbert playing poorly. I can last week maybe give Herbert some, flack for not playing as well. I don't think there's a whole lot Herbert could have done this game. Like it's 1,000, and then just running. That's the entire game plan. So I don't know what to tell you.
Yeah. So the Blah Man, shout out Blah Man. He has a chart for everything. I feel like he did a chart recently of win percentage when pressured at least 20 times in a game. The leader there is obviously Tom Brady because, of course, he's only had 9. He's only had 9 games in his entire career where he was pressured more than 20 times. By the way, he had a 55% win percentage in those games, so he won 5 of the 9. It's just extremely difficult to win games when you are pressured that much. So, Patrick Mahomes, he has a 43% win percentage when he's pressured that much versus a lot higher when he was not pressured that much. Justin Herbert is actually 7th on that list in win percentage when pressured over 20 times in a game, and it's at 40%. That's happened 15 times. This was before today. So that number's probably down on both sides, but when you're pressured as often as he's getting pressured, you just can't do anything about it, man. It's very difficult to win that way, and he's done a much better job than he has been given credit for in those situations.
Yeah, no, if you want to see, we saw this kind of, but if you want to see what it looks like when Herbert's really not out there, go look at the Raiders Easton Stick game. Herbert missed that game, and it just was like, whoa, okay. That's what it really looks like if you don't have Herbert out there.
Yeah. Your friendly neighborhood Spider-Man says he would not trust this team to be the Pee Wee team.
Pee Wee team probably has fewer penalties, I'll tell you
that. Giovanni Sandoval says this game felt like the 63-21 Raiders loss.
Oh, speaking of which,
It's funny. I don't know if I agree with that, but
no, I had fun watching that loss. By the
yeah,
way, that was a party.
that was kind of a relief, honestly. Um,
Yeah,
he wants to waive Bozeman, fire Devlin, put Hardworking at center. Alt pick makes them think they're on scholarship.
alt pick makes they wait. Alt pick makes them think they're on scholarship. I don't know about that one.
Yeah, I don't know. I mean, we've done so much of that
Yeah,
offensive line.
happy to see. No, I'm sorry, that's not the way to say it. Devlin relieved of his duties would not surprise me, and I think would be welcomed at this point. It will not happen this season, I would imagine, but it is time for something new.
Yeah, the amount of injuries they've had, I don't think that's a fire a guy situation.
Mm-hmm.
Usually NFL teams are like a little bit more forgiving in that situation, especially when the head coach is not going to be leaving. So we'll see. Mr. Dark Chow Chow says, think return on investment. Connor Liu helps his team more than a solid edge. You won't get a great edge if you are picking in the 20s, but the best center might. Brother, I don't think they're picking in the 20s right now. I think they might be picking like 14th.
Yeah, that's yeah. 20s would be good.
Yeah.
Or not good, I guess.
Jared Verse was pick 18. Also, he's a pretty damn good edge rusher. Nick Bonito, who we just talked about, was a second round pick. So
I think he's a third. Was he a third round pick or second round pick?
Was he a third round pick? I thought it was like end of the second.
I thought he was a few picks before JT Woods, but I could be wrong.
That's really depressing if that's true.
I don't know. I looked at this recently. And Benito was. I like Benito. Anyway, center helps more than a solid edge. I don't mind that take. I don't mind that take. But you can get a good edge rusher in the 20s.
I think an elite center would help this offense more than like, you know, if this Chargers team had, even if they had like Tyler Biadasz, man, like it would help this offense tremendously. So I can understand where he's coming from, but I think it is more difficult to find edge rushers later than it is centers later.
Yeah.
You know, like Jason Kelsey was a 6th round pick and Corey Lindsey was a 6th round pick and etc. Yeah. John Schoen says, at least you're not the Raiders.
Correct.
Can always be worse.
Could always be worse. It's been a rough going for my dad, that's for sure.
Yeah, I didn't think they were going to be good, but I thought they would at least be like scrappy, and they just look bad on several levels.
Mm-hmm.
JNut23 says, this is a gut punch. I'm not sure how to feel. And he's definitely more one of the positive guys in our Discord. Very known QJ supporter from day one.
Yeah.
So I know a lot of people are definitely feeling this one today.
Yep. I thought I could hang in there with the last week's loss, but now after 2 and the way they've lost, not feeling it.
Sons of Cleat Woodworking. That's cool. Wants to know where has our all-pro Dayon gone? Yeah, it's been a rough couple games for Dayon. And I think like, you know, losing 17 pounds after the sickness is difficult, but he looks a lot slower out there than I'm used to seeing.
Yeah. Slower, indecisive, you name it. I don't know how he played as well as he did when he was sick, but since not being sick, he's looked worse. So hopefully, and it's him and Dye. I don't know if Perryman getting back out there might help. Just a little veteran presence. Not that Dye isn't, but I don't know.
Yeah, it feels like they're lacking some juice at linebacker right now, which is not what I expected of that duo.
No.
Blaze Gaspari says, now we definitely the joke of the league.
Is that his last? I think his last super chat was the joke of the league, and now we're definitely the joke of the league.
Yeah.
Nope. Someone said earlier the Raiders. My dad said.
The Jets.
The Jets. Sorry, Arjun.
The Bengals.
The Bengals.
Although they kind of like made it a little interesting today, but
yeah, they're not the joke of the league, but people love to when the Chargers lose, and if they continue to lose like this, make jokes about the Chargers.
Yeah, especially because there was so many people after the first 3 games, like national media members were like, this team looks like they could win the Super Bowl. And now, it's going to be the complete opposite. So, yeah.
Yeah. No, thanks.
Nature's Calls podcast says, where is the attention to be detail on defense gone? Tackling is atrocious. Linebacker isn't a strength right now. Pressure non-existent. CBs look lost. Yeah.
Yeah.
I agree with all of that.
Yeah.
Rough couple games for the defense.
Yeah. The last couple of drives, I don't want to throw out on the Q word just yet, but it kind of looked like they just were gassed.
The Q word?
Quit.
Oh.
I'm not saying they did, but it looked like a team that just was ready to just catch every tackle instead of make the tackle.
Yeah.
I mean, you let the opposing team go 99 yards.
Yeah.
It just was kind of embarrassing.
Yeah. It was. A 99-yard 4-minute drive is pretty unprecedented.
I think it was a 6-minute drive.
I'm saying like in like a
sure. Yeah, gotcha. I see what you mean.
Doug, any thoughts on Ben Herbert and players' injuries? We talked about that a little bit earlier, but appreciate the super chat.
Mm-hmm.
CJH says this is the first time they are legit questioning the Harbaugh future.
I think so. I do want to see where I want to give them the time to turn things around too.
Yeah, I'm frustrated by a lot of the decisions that they didn't make in the offseason, but I still have to believe that like it's been more good than bad with the roster overall. And Jim Harbaugh's track record is real. And I think we have to believe that maybe they don't turn this particular season around to like the whole host a playoff game kind of season. But I still kind of have to believe, like we just have to believe that his track record is going to win out and they can, in the long term, get to where they want to take this thing.
Yeah. They make the same mistakes a third year in a row. Yeah. It's kind of over.
Yep. Richard says that offensive line or weapons cue the movie trailer for weapons, but instead of kids have Slater, Alton, Becton running into the darkness.
Yeah, I mean, it feels like at 3:33 or whatever the time was, every game we lose players to the darkness, and they're out somewhere in some strange witch woman's basement.
Yeah.
So would love them to stop put a whole hex on everybody.
Yeah, it's bad. It's very, very bad. Steven Sava says Ortiz is going for the slow, sustainable build, which that is definitely true. He says, I can't deny that it sucks right now with the oil, but hoping management isn't oblivious. Haha. I don't think Joe Ortiz is oblivious. And I know that like people have brought up like the whole like Sleepy Joe and like he's catching a lot of heat right now, but it's not like he doesn't do anything. Like we saw several Tom Telesco seasons where they wouldn't even make like practice squad changes. Like, we kind of made fun of the whole Bobby Hart thing, but like even that is an improvement from where this team was previously. So, next season, I'm become like 2 weeks ago, I was like, yeah, they're running the whole Zion and Bozeman thing back again next year. I'm becoming less convinced of Bozeman because he's just outright bad right now.
Yeah.
While I still think Zion's playing pretty well. So I think they will, if Bozeman continues to play at this level, there's no way they're letting him start again next year. He is worse than he was last year. Like this is significantly worse. So if he can get back to what he was doing last year, I can not understand. I can see them doing the repeat experience, but dude, he's on pace to allow like 50 pressures this year at center. There's no way that they're just going to sit there and let that guy come back. 2 weeks ago, I was with you. After these last 2 weeks, man, there's just no way. I refuse to believe that possibility exists. Tyler's just laughing. Speaking of centers, Tara says that she is starting her draft Lapani Ulaulu campaign. That's the starting center for her Oregon Ducks. So he was featured on yesterday's episode of Katson's Corner for what it's worth, and Katson probably said that name probably a lot better than I did.
Oh yeah, I'm sure.
Ulaulu,
sure,
something like that.
Lapani,
much easier.
Mm-hmm.
So it does seem like there's a good center class for what that's worth.
Yeah.
B says that to me, Harbaugh's biggest weakness is loyalty to veterans who play poorly. Bozeman, Matlock, Dupree. They need to stop keeping guys for vibes.
Yeah. What did Dupree have today? One pressure.
Yeah, one pressure in the end zone where he almost got Jaden Daniels to. He was like pretty close to hitting that ball out of Jaden Daniels' hands, but yeah, like Cleveland Farrell was an upgrade and like barely did anything.
It kind of sucks when you have the player introductions. They're like number 48, Bud Dupree. The audience is just like, it's really sad.
Yeah, especially who went before and after him.
Well, I think Thule went after, which got a big pop. Before, if they did D-line before, it was Tart. Tart got a very big pop today, and people love Tart.
He deserves it.
He deserves it. He's awesome, and he played great today.
Yeah, that's sad. Sons of Cleat Woodworking. Harbaugh's we just did that one. Oh wait, no, it's a different question. Same kind of thing. Harbaugh's loyalty to players and coaches is killing us. Players like Bozeman and Matlock aren't being pulled, which is morale killer for others. Coincidence that the others are underachieving? Nope.
Yeah, I hope if we go into year 3, not that there already isn't some favoritism, and listen, coaches do have their favorites like this, but if we get Bozeman again and Matlock again, and that is a thing they're doing next year as a full-time starting thing, yeah, favoritism is rough on a locker room. Favoritism can be very rough on a locker room when there's also no competition attached to it. That was evident in the Staley era for sure. And that was evident in Chris Room's article post Staley firing about that favoritism, which we told you guys about. No one wanted to believe us. And if it happens like this again, and if Bozeman's out there again, and everyone can clearly say he's the, I don't say worst player. I think he might be the worst player out there. They cannot do that again, because then they have no competition again, no real competition again, and Bozeman's the starter again. That's a nasty favoritism there.
Yeah. The Matlock thing, I think, is I'm definitely not a Scott Matlock defender by any means.
Sure,
but he plays like 12 snaps a game. Like that's probably too low. It's probably like 20 snaps a game, and his run blocking is a lot better. But the pass protection, it's not like they're asking him to block edge rushers one-on-one. Like that's not his fault that he can't do that.
Right.
So I think that Matlock hate is gone a little too far. But yeah, Bradley Bozeman deserves all of it. Sergio wants to know, would Bill be a better coach?
Belichick?
If that's Bill Belichick. Are we watching the same North Carolina football team right now, Sergio?
Bill Krosky Merritt, maybe. But Bill Belichick, I don't believe so. And he'd be their GM.
Jay Simmons, LAC. If that's Jeffrey Simmons, I would be stunned if the Titans traded Jeffrey Simmons.
Yeah, they won a game finally. But I don't think the Chargers go for Simmons' background. He's been, I'm pretty sure, pretty clean, except for one altercation sometime last couple of years. But going back to his college days, I think they're just no.
Yeah. Bobby Caldron says, Justin usually maintains his composure, but we're starting to see consistent visible frustration from him. Are we close to him blowing up on his O-line? Keep up the amazing content. We appreciate that, Bobby, for jumping in here. There definitely have been a couple moments the last couple of weeks where Justin has shown some frustration. I don't think he's the kind of guy to blow up completely on the O-line. and people get mad at him like after the game. He again was like, yeah, they battled and they played their hearts out. Like
Yeah.
he says the same things all the time, and people are like, we
Yes.
want him to bash the O-line. It's like, it's just not who he is. It's
No.
never going to be
No.
who he is.
No.
And bashing players from the podium, fans want it to happen, but it's never the right thing, and he would get crushed for that if he did that from the O-line. Like, Aaron Rodgers crushes his teammates from the podium all the time, and everybody was like, fuck this guy, like I hate this. Like, it's never the right move to do that from the podium. But I think Herbert will continue to get frustrated if he continues to get hit and continues to be on pace for 58 sacks this season.
Yeah, he'll be visibly frustrated out there. He'll continue to be, and I get it. He's every right to be.
Yeah, 100%. A Bongwamiga fan, do you guys think this is still a playoff team? If they miss playoffs, which, if any, coaches do you think get fired?
I do think it's still a playoff team because the AFC, like you said, is not great. The Ravens may be out of it. TBD on the Texans. The Bengals are more than likely out of it. The Jets are out of it. The Dolphins should be out of it. TBD on the Jags, I guess. But there's enough spots for the Chargers to have one of them. I just don't believe they are the AFC West crown holders that they were. Well, that they are, but they were more so 2 weeks ago.
Yeah. So I think at this point, the Steelers are going to just walk to their division title, which is crazy. It's super annoying. So they're in. The Bills are in. The Colts are probably in. I think the Broncos are in. I think the Chiefs will be in. So really, you're talking about the Chargers, the Chiefs, the Jags, the Broncos. That's it. So you're talking about 4 teams fighting for 3 spots. So I'm still going to lean yes, because Alt will come back, Hampton will come back, Khalil Mack will come back. But if next week the defense looks like it did today, and the week after it looks like they did today, and this team is 3-4, that's going to be tough for me to sit here and say, yeah, this is still a playoff team. Right now, I'm going to say yes, because I think these players will return. But yeah, man, it's the playoff hopes are really kind of hanging by a thread for me right now.
Yeah, if we're suddenly a team that is giving up 27 points a game, then the Chargers cannot handle that right now.
No. Ron P. Melculo says Minter is safe from leaving for a job this year.
I agree. I think it's definitely trending that way. But hopefully we don't flip too much on him. Again, I really do think that this team was due for some regression, and he needs more than 3rd round picks and cast offs to make this work.
Yes, I agree. The quality of the defense does not always equate to not having a job. There are situations out there where coaches have gotten head coaching promotions despite not being quote unquote great that particular season. I don't think the Ravens are going to fire John Harbaugh, but if they are picking in the top 5 next year and their team quits on him and does all the usual stuff, that's a possible opening. And the Ravens historically have really preferred to kind of keep things in the family. And so I would not be surprised if they fired Harbaugh. I think there's a real chance that Jesse would be very high up on their list. The Cincinnati Bengals seem like they're due for firing their head coach. He's extremely familiar with that area. I would not be surprised if they had him high on their list. So I wouldn't say it's automatic that he's staying around, but I think it's much more likely than it was 2 weeks ago.
Oh, that is definitely for sure.
Lorenzo, man, I was excited to go out there for the Vikings game. I'm not as excited now. SMH would love to meet you though. Tyler, what section are your seats?
I'm in 231, so you're more than welcome to sit over there. I will not be in person at the Vikings game. The Thursday night games are just tricky for me as a teacher.
Yes, same. I'm right now we're planning on going to the Steelers game because that's a Sunday night game with a holiday weekend coming up after that, so we're able to make that work. But if this team keeps playing like they are right now, I'm not going to that game. I'm not paying those prices. That is for sure.
Primetime prices to sit by yourself in that stadium with the terrible towels. Forget it. It was actually a little disheartening to see how many Commanders fans there were today.
Yeah, there were some defense chants, and there's a lot of red today, which is, people are going to sell when they need to sell. But I was kind of hoping we would be past that particular point of SoFi Stadium.
Yeah.
Matthew Dahl says, "Congrats to Allen on 1,000 catches this game." It sucks that we can't even talk about that today. Like, this is the first time we're mentioning this, that Keenan Allen, passed Marvin Harrison for the fastest player to 1,000 catches, because it did not even make a dent in how this game went.
Nope. Had another one for 28 at least, and then of course it's called back by penalty.
Yeah, but love Keenan. Love to see him out there. Bummer it didn't matter today.
Yeah.
Drew Soul, the tip of our spear sucks.
The tip of the spear is a walking stick right now.
Yep.
So.
Yep. DJ says, "Damn, wish my mom gave me $50 every time the Bolts lost. So what percentage chance do we have of a getaway Roman holiday?" What's that
like
from?
a fire him by Christmas kind of deal?
Oh. If they average 19.6 points rest of the year.
From a Jim Harbaugh perspective, making the decision here, if they average that the rest of the year, but they have these injuries, unfortunately, they're going to look at that and go, "Well, you didn't have your Slater or Alt for a lot of the year, and we gave you Mekhi Becton, but he's played, 60% of the snaps the whole year. And you lost Najee. Hampton missed a few games. So we're going to give you another one, but you got to make some moves to your coaching staff, which will inevitably be Devlin,
Marcus Brady.
Yeah, I was going to say Marcus Brady. Yeah, probably him and Marcus Brady, I would imagine.
Yeah, I said heading into the season, the only way I thought Greg Roman would get fired is if everybody stayed healthy and the offense just sucked.
Right.
But now there's too many injuries for Jim to fire his best buddy. It's not happening.
Yep.
Steven Jajo says, "If I was Joe Ortiz, I would spend free agency on offensive line and use draft picks on also offensive line. What do you guys think?"
Right up Steven's alley, I think. I would also agree. I'd have to look at what's available next year. I mean, we did a full off-season, offensive heavy versus defensive heavy episode. Steven went with full upgrades along the offensive line, spent a bunch. And so, I mean, I would like that. At this point, I'm happy if they go out and do that. So we'll see.
Everybody knew that they needed 2 new starters on the interior, and they just didn't even bother. So it's great. B came back with another one, says, "Chance Roman fired and Frank Smith / Mike McDaniel hired." You are not going to find 2 more different coaches than Jim Harbaugh and Mike McDaniel. The Mike McDaniel part is negative 1,000. If he gets fired in Miami, he's 100% going to San Francisco, Green Bay. I guess the Commanders have connections to him too.
Yeah,
if Cliff Kingsbury leaves,
yep,
that's probably a spot for him. Frank Smith, if he gets fired, he's probably going back to New Orleans with Kellen or to Denver with Sean Payton. So,
oh my God, if Frank Smith cannot go coach tight ends in Denver, please don't do that.
So 0%. Matias Veloso, if the draft was today, what position is priority 1 to 6 round? I'm still saying edge rusher in the first round is my priority, just because I want a true difference maker up front. That's a pass rusher. I think after that, I would go center and defensive tackle.
Yeah. Edge sounds good. Without knowing who is available and how talented they are, edge sounds great, then center, then D tackle in some order.
Yeah. Ricardo says this is Madison Beer's fault.
Too much beer sometimes it's not good.
Well, we got our first public video of them kissing, so that's
Amazing.
fun.
Yeah, happy for Herbert there. It worked. The charm worked for 10 minutes, and then it was good after that.
Yeah.
Does Madison Beer have friends they can set up with some of the offensive linemen or anything? Can she do the halftime performance to help out?
I don't know if Zion is single. I know Becton is very single. Bradley Bozeman, Joe Alt, Trey Pipkins, very much not single. Andre James is not single. So I guess Zion is the one, maybe.
Yeah. Bradley Bozeman and Dua Lipa, as the comments say. Bradley Bozeman is very much a family guy.
Yes. James Carey says, unpopular opinion, KA signing was bad. Set Ladd's development back, and the young deep threats don't see the field. Love him. He is a legend still.
I can't say it was bad when like 3 games they won, or partially because he helped them win it.
Yeah.
Set his development back. I mean, at this point, I just kind of think the offensive line is sitting Ladd McConkey back. They're not taking deep shots. It's not like they're throwing deep passes to Keenan Allen, and that's taking away from Ladd. They just can't push the ball downfield to Ladd like they used to. All that stuff we saw like against the Bengals last year, that ain't there. So
yeah, they just can't do any deep play action stuff right now.
Yeah, so it's just little chunks here and there to McConkey.
It is interesting to think about, though, like if Mike Williams had stuck it out, do we see the Quentin Johnston development this season? I think probably not to the extent that we've seen.
Yeah,
because he's becoming like their main X receiver. So it is interesting to think about that versus Keenan not being on the team. But
yeah,
Trey Harris, I think, deserves some more snaps. I think that part is true. But Keandre Lambert-Smith, he can't get lined up properly. He's stopping his routes early. Like that's not how you earn extra snaps. So I'm not dying to see more Keandre Lambert-Smith snaps when the players ahead of him are all performing at a much higher level.
Yeah, I would love to see Trey Harris get just a few intentional targets. Give him a screen, or I don't know, anything. Just give him something. Yeah. Just let him work, because it's you scored 10 points today.
Steven, different Steven, big chats for the Stevens today. I love to see it. Shout out Keenan, 1,000 catches. He wants to know if we think he will want to run it back next year. Also, Trey Pipkins back-to-back penalties were so killer. So the second Trey Pipkins penalty is really not on Trey Pipkins. Like that alignment issue is on the receivers who were covering him up. But like he gets called for the penalty, but it's really the receiver's fault. Just to clarify that part. But yes, they were killer. I think Keenan will want to come back. I don't know if the Chargers will be like fully committed to bringing him back, because Quentin theoretically might be a little bit more expensive next year. You will want to see what Trey Harris has next year. So I think Keenan will want to run it back. I don't know if the team will want to run it back.
I think in the order of wanting to do it, it'll be Keenan, then Herbert, then the team.
Yep.
Now, I think Herbert and Keenan could get their way there.
Sure.
But Keenan Allen is also getting more expensive. So we'll see.
Yeah. All right. I'm stunned that we got as many super chats as we did today. So
I thought we were gonna have 120 people in here, no comments, and that's it. So I appreciate you guys.
Yeah. If nothing else, we know that Chargers fans will show up and support the people that they love and listening to from a content standpoint. So we appreciate that. It means a lot that you guys are still with us here on a Sunday night, despite just the bad vibes that have been our show today and the social media today.
Yeah. Thank you guys for being here. We wanted to start early just to get it over with, because I thought no one would care. And maybe you're just here hate watching. I don't know. But I appreciate you guys being here. Yeah, I did not expect 42 super chats, and we got a ton of comments today. It's been very active, and it hasn't been as doom and gloom as I thought it would be. But we are, if nothing else, very used to this feeling and being here in this kind of sad state of being a Chargers fan. I don't know if I tweeted this out, but I think after a while I was thinking, like, would I let my kid not be a Chargers fan do I want my kids to not be Chargers fans? Do I want them to pick another team and just find some happiness in their life? Maybe.
My kids will absolutely 1000% be University of Utah fans, and
That's fair.
if they choose to go to college in Utah, it will be at the University of Utah. But if they wanted to choose a different NFL team, I think that's up to them. I will make that known to them. My dad was a Dallas Cowboys fan growing up. He did not force that on me. Thankfully, I cannot imagine being a Dallas Cowboys fan. So yeah, I think that's the beauty of being in a city where the team is not like there's no NFL team around here, and obviously in Utah there's no NFL team, so you can choose who you like, and I think that's the fun stuff about being an NFL. And that being said, there's zero chance that I would let my children ever be Raiders fans. Like, respect to your dad for allowing you to be a Chargers fan.
Yeah,
I would never ever allow them to be a Raiders fan.
Well, they're so bad. My kids are never
true.
Like, well, the 2-15 Raiders. I want a jersey. Thanks,
True.
Santa. Like, that's never going to happen. So,
yeah,
my dad may try, but it's going to be hard to. It'll probably be difficult for my kids to not be Rams fans. Now, they may grow up Chargers fans because they're surrounded by it.
Yeah,
but the kids like the Rams. The kids in this area like the Rams because they're better.
Yeah.
They're kind of when the Chargers were good when I was growing up in like middle school, high school, where it's LaDainian and Tomlinson and everybody.
Yeah.
They got
Puka
the Rams.
And Stafford are sick, and Jared Verse is a ton of fun.
Yeah.
Yeah. McVay's cool. Yeah, I get it.
Yeah. Yep.
Yeah. So we'll see what happens when we cross that bridge. But yeah, we had the conversation with our friends from church, and they were like, well, what if your kids wanted to go to BYU and it's super cheap? I was like, hell no. Not happening over my dead body.
I will, if they ever go to BYU, I will be there to wipe your tears and hug you and whatever you gotta do to get you through it. Like, it's gonna be okay, Steven.
They can go to literally any other college.
Oh man. Yeah.
Good stuff.
I don't like BYU either, but that's solely because Steven doesn't.
That's a good friend right there. That's a good friend right there. We hate the same teams. Yeah,
exactly.
All right, you guys, that is going to do it for us today. We'll be back on Tuesday with some kind of show. We'll see. I'm probably going to watch the tape just because I like to watch the tape, but I don't know if we'll have any major takeaways. Maybe we'll do a trade deadline show. I don't know. We'll see. Either way, we'll see you on Tuesday. Thanks as always for tuning in. Bolt up. Have a good rest of your night.